Got sirens in the background. It's going to be a good episode. Mamma mia, we are back in the studio, back in my kitchen. The scenery has changed slightly if you are viewing anything related to this episode with your eyes. Yeah, my office is an absolute pigsty at the moment, and I didn't even want to have to go through thinking about cleaning that up, so we're in the kitchen. It looks a bit like a crackdown at the moment. There are cupboards missing, and half the cupboards have the paint stripped off them, and it's just a really lovely atmosphere here at the moment. That's because I'm in the process of painting, and it's a really long process. Oh, Lord knows. If you have ever painted anything, really, I've never committed to doing a big paint project, and I did not realize how, oh my gosh, like time intensive it is. I was so excited. Like, I don't know, I feel like maybe the movies made painting seem like this, like, throwing paint around and having fun together, like, but it's actually horrible. Like, you have to do the primer and like at least 2 coats of that, wait for it to dry in between. So that's like 2 hours in between. And then you actually get to the painting the color part, and it's like 3 coats of that, 4 hours drying in between. I'm standing outside being eaten by mosquitoes at 8 p.m. at night, just getting that 3rd coat of paint on so I can do the next cupboards tomorrow. It's been a journey. It's taken so long. I am over it. There's no joy. There's no B-roll, us throwing paint around and loving it. It's crap. So that's the explanation as to why I'm living in a crazy kitchen at the Momo. Anyway, hey, welcome back. It's been like 6 months. I think, I don't know, I did Balancing Act the last episode in August, I think, and that is like ironic because it's like I was talking about like balancing life and all that kind of stuff, and it was like, yeah, how can I balance my podcast into my life and stuff, and then it's like radio silence until freaking February 2025. So yeah, I don't know, I'm not gonna say like I'm back and ready to keep going, because I'm just back. Like, it is good to be back. I have had the podcast on my mind for ages. Like, I've just been thinking like, maybe I should like record something, maybe I should release something, maybe I should sit down and ultimately like reflect on what Jesus has been doing in my life to share the good news of the gospel through this platform, which is why I created it in the first place. But yeah, getting around to doing that didn't happen, and now it is. And I think it's because I felt a lot of insecurity the last I don't know, is it even a season 2, 2025, I guess this is season 2. Just being like, I would re-listen to my episodes later on and be like, oh my gosh, I sound like a flipping idiot. Like, just so critical of myself, because I am on Instagram and I see incredible faith content. Like, that's the good thing about Instagram. It helps share a plethora of people's knowledge and spirituality and all that good stuff. And I love absorbing that content. But I would listen to it and be like, man, I don't know the friggin' catechism. Like, I know obviously bits and bobs to help stabilize my faith, but like there's just so many intellectual Christians and Catholics, and I would look at that and go, gosh, I feel like sometimes I would have these moments in my podcast and be like, wow, moments of how Jesus is moving in my life. But the average person might look at that and go, duh, like that's just general Catholic knowledge. And I got really, I don't know, caught up on that. Like, I wasn't like freaking crying myself to sleep being like, I'm so insecure, but I was also like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, classic freaking fight or flight response. Like, I'm not going to fight this. I'm going to fly away and not record anything, because I'd rather feel unintelligent privately than publicly. But yeah, I felt the Lord continue to be like, hey, this is like something that you started and I want you to keep pursuing it. Because the like entire name of the podcast summarizes it is like that Jesus thing, how he's doing that Jesus thing in my life, like not someone else's life, not the life of the catechism, not the life of the church. Obviously, it's all like relevant, but sharing about how he's moving in my life and how that's actually like convicting my own faith. Because that was the biggest fruit I sowed from the last year of the podcast. I was so in tune with my faith. I could see how he was like calling me and prompting me in so many ways. I was really like listening out for him. And then when I stopped the podcast, I would have that like a little bit and be like, oh, I'm going to take note of this and pray about this. And then because I stopped the podcast, like that slowly kind of faded away. And it's like, oh, that was actually a really beneficial fruit for my relationship with God. So here we are again. Let's see how it goes. I am not going to make any promises. I might see you in February 2026. That's what I'm saying. But you got me now. And I've got you now. So I also was just thinking about like what an effort it is to create these podcasts, because I have to record, then I have to sit down and edit them. And that's like really hard sometimes with a 2-year-old who is shortening her naps and all that fun stuff, and trying to like also like just being a mum and being like, I have no time for me. And it's like, do I want to invest my time in like this, although this is for God? It's like, I don't really want to do something that I'm not passionate about. Anyway, what I'm saying is I really felt the Lord yesterday in prayer say to me, like, because yesterday I was like, should I do this, God? I really don't know. And God was like, yeah, you should. I just felt God saying, you don't need to sit in front of a camera for 50 minutes preaching. If you preach in the conviction of the Holy Spirit and through the authority of the Holy Spirit for 50 seconds, that is better than anything you could produce. Because that also takes the pressure off what I was saying before, where it's like, I feel like I am not well enough equipped or smart, educated enough to talk about Catholicism and Christianity and all that fun stuff, like, because I'm not. But I am equipped to speak through the authority that Christ has given me through his Holy Spirit. And if I stay in my lane and do that, then I'm fine and dandy. I'm not going to go talking about friggin' anything that I'm not confident with, because I have tried to do that before, and it's actually taken so much effort to like sit down, understand it, which isn't a bad thing, but sit down, understand it, speak, kind of like dance around it, touch on it, and then like not really feel like I've done the topic justice. Anyway, that fills me with much more faith. 50 seconds preaching in his Holy Spirit rather than 50 minutes just trying to make something coherent. Like, yeah, I'm going with 50 seconds. Thank you very much. So speaking of 50 seconds starting now, what I wanted to talk about was my word of the year. I haven't really done a word of the year before, I don't think, or that I can remember anything relevant, but I think it's actually an awesome practice to start the year with a word that you're going to use to like ground your year and work towards. And like it all came about because I went to Reco at the end of last year, and in my reconciliation, like I shared about how like I struggle with prioritizing prayer. Like I would often be going about my day and think to myself like, oh, here's a good time to pray, but I'll do it later. I've spoken about this in episodes before. It's a chronic issue of mine. And I confess that because it's just like, it's not it's not a good thing to like avoid a relationship with God. It's actually creating a blockage, hence like a sin in my life, because I'm actually being like slothful, if that's even a word. Anyway, I went to Reco, and the priest, I don't even fully remember what he said. Like it was something like, oh yeah, that is an area that you can definitely work on. I encourage you to work on self-discipline in that area. And I was like, aha, that is a fantastic point. And I was praying about like my word for 2025, and just discipline like kept coming up. And like I was speaking to Meg about it, and she was like, yeah, but I feel like you are quite a disciplined person. And I was like, like in some areas of my life I can be disciplined, But in other areas of my life, and the most important area of my life, such as my spirituality and faith, I feel like I'm really not great with discipline in that area. Anyway, Julian and I sat down at the beginning of this year and we did like a little kind of like vision of the different areas of the year and what we wanted to work on and where we wanted to work on it all. Anyway, he also like agreed that discipline was what he wanted to work on too. And so our family word of the year is discipline, which is like such a like a family word of the year is discipline, and hence we are going to start smacking Felicity and we are going to start pulling out the belt. And no, like it's not like a disciplinary action kind of thing, corporal punishment all the way. And like initially when I was even thinking about the word discipline, like I come from a smacking family. I come from a pro-discipline family. And so discipline is such a negative kind of word in my life where it's like, I don't want to be disciplined. Please don't smack me. But discipline in a faith context and discipline in general isn't even about smacking. Like, that can be a whole other topic to talk about where it's like the correct way of disciplining someone. Obviously, like, yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to look into the Hebrew meaning of discipline and like the core of what the word really means, and it means correction. And like, yeah, there are many ways to correct a person, many different parenting styles to correct a person, and many different ways that you can go about correcting or correction of your faith. And it just rang true. Like it rang very true where in my life, particularly last year, I was really disciplined with like consistently working out, consistently eating well, consistently taking care of my physical body. And then spiritual discipline fell to the wayside. And so I prayed about it, and discipline really reminded me of the word disciple because they're spelled so similarly and they sound so similarly. Anyway, I felt the Lord like compare the two, and I was like, oh, relevant. Yeah, that's so fair, because I wanted to look into the Hebrew context of the word disciple as well. And yeah, like I said, discipline is correction, and then disciple is like just like at the core of it all, to learn, but also to teach. And they, in a way, like correction and to learn of like can go very much hand in hand. I thought I was disciplined, but just because I was doing something good consistently didn't actually mean I was consistently correcting myself to be a disciplined person. I think about the reading the other day, like 2 days ago in the gospel, it was Jesus sending out the disciples, and he sent them out in pairs of 2 to go and to, like, he gave them the authority to go, like, share his teachings, share the word, like heal, cast out demons and heal the sick. And I think to be disciplined is to be focusing on being a disciple, because I have so much to learn, and I have so many ways that I need to go out and be proactive in my faith and to work on correcting my faith continuously, because sitting down in prayer at a certain time every day is a physical discipline, but what is the spiritual discipline of, am I actually seeking the Lord? Am I doing what he sent me out to do, which is to cast out demons, heal the sick, share the word? I'm not performing exorcisms on the street, but you get my drift, where I am called to be a disciple and to, hence at the core of it all, to learn. And then I mentioned before, like another, the core of that is to teach as well. And, as a disciple, they adopt the lifestyle of the teacher and the teachings of the teacher. And am I doing that? I don't think I was doing it particularly well at points last year. And so I want that to be my focus for this year. How am I going to discipline myself, correct myself to be a disciple and to follow the Lord, to do his will, to to share like the fruit of the Spirit as well. That's so important. Anyway, there's so many ways that I can work on that. I think it just starts with the intentionality of, the physical practice of daily prayer, which I so easily slip in and out of, but I'm working on it. And then like going from there to constantly correct myself, not settling to, I've reached that. Like I do my 15 minutes of prayer. Like, no, like we're praying the rosary, like trying our best to pray the rosary every day this year. It's like, I want to correct myself. I want to be his disciple. I want to be disciplined so freaking bad. Anyway, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to blab on about. Just like when I was looking up like discipline in the context of the Bible, a cool verse came up where it was Proverbs 3:11-12. My sons, do not despise the Lord's discipline and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father the son he delights in. So taking away that negative connotation of discipline, like do not resent his rebuke, do not resent his correction, because the Lord disciplines those he loves. He wants us to be in paradise, in heaven with him, and that's the reason that he's calling us forth to be bigger, better, greater peoples. Holy Spirit, anything else you wanted me to say? I think that's it. I'm happy. This was fun. Good catch up, guys. Let's see how disciplined we can be together. Anyway, keen to see what happens. Hopefully chat again soon. God bless you all. I will see you later. Bye. Ciao.